Professor Phatak suggested that I should talk a little bit about Vegayan Systems, just to give you idea of a typical startup company, and where I am somewhat bringing in different experience from Roshan and Kashyap, is that now we have the incubation, which is, all the processes are well set, and there is a screening for getting into the incubation. There is a wait list for getting in, and but the problems are still same. There is a lot of the challenges are very significant. Another way I differ from their experiences is I am a faculty at IIT. So some of the questions during my informal discussions with the members here is how does it work while being a faculty and starting something. And then there are some unique challenges which are there because you are a faculty. I mean, I always feel that okay, being a faculty it's going to be easy compared to being a student this thing, but the problems are of different type. So I'll go through that, but before that I'll just quickly give you an overview and some details about Vegayan. So this is an overview of Vegayan. So I'm the founder, and I've been a faculty in electrical engineering department. I joined IIT Bombay in 2000, right about these guys were starting their incubation. But the major influence that I had was in late 90s I was working in Bay Area. After my PhD I was in the US working for a few years, and at that time it was a crazy, the craziness which was in the late 90s. I was in the valley and everybody was talking about startup. Everybody wanted to be a joining some startup or this or that, and luckily I came back before the bust this thing. But nevertheless all that the whole atmosphere was charged up, and it rubbed onto me to some extent. So I was also having the idea, okay, I'm going to start something, so I'll go join IIT, but then see what do I want to do, I started my work. I was in charge of communication lab. We had certain, we were looking at quality of service. That means different types of applications going over your data network. How do you say, for example, if you have voice application, then voice is an application which is delay sensitive. Those who have heard satellite phones, there is a echo etc. that comes, or you need to have certain bandwidth, otherwise the quality would not be good. And when you have video, the bandwidth requirements are more etc. So as you have different quality of or different applications requiring different quality going over a converged network, the way you set up the paths, the way you give the resources, how do you allocate, that turns out to be a non-trivial problem. And we had some research work, and then I filed for patents and eventually got international patents on that. But that led me to thinking that okay, I should take it further, start a company and actually commercialize it. So not stop at a point where I'm publishing some papers and among the peers they are discussing, then fine, it gets dropped, or somebody else down the road may use it, but you are still far remote from it. Whereas when I had come, I had a industry experience etc. So very much interested in making a real difference rather than producing something that goes in only as a paper, okay, or a theoretical contribution etc. So that led me to starting to plan for the startup. And Vegayan, Veg is high speed and Ion is routing. These are some tools. So we are in the high speed networking or routing space, and we bring in something which is a unique in terms of our technology, for which we have now secured IP rights. So it's a powerful path optimization or network resource optimization technology that is there. And and as any startup does, when you do a market research, you want to actually target opportunity which is large. And again, there are few tick marks when you approach an investor or when you are looking for getting incubation, etc. The viability of the business depends on, is the market opportunity large? Do you have customer traction or understanding? Do you have a product which is unique? Are you positioning it, is there some validation in the way you are positioning? Do you have the team, and then do you have the wherewithal to survive? That means, do you have funding? And but all those tick marks and objective metrics should not be superseding the person behind it. Like said that the passion is the most important. So see that if you come up with a set of criteria which have to be met for you to admit a given company into an incubation, almost every company will have some way of, some exception or the other, So you have to go beyond. It's good to have a rules or some policies to admit companies, but nevertheless you have to finally realize that there are going to be exceptions, and exceptions is a norm rather than you getting companies which follow the norms that you think are the ideal. Okay, so that is one thing. And when you look at us, whatever successes or struggles that we have had, but we were exceptions on multiple points. So it can't be said that there is a one size fits all type of criteria that you can apply to this thing. So just to a little bit tell about our product, it's a software product. Software product again has a big advantage that you don't need capital expenses, etc. But then it has a disadvantage. Whatever money comes in, you don't have capital expenses. It's mostly goes in salary, which are very high because of the IT revolution. So there are pluses and minuses. It means if you have a manufacturing setup, you can take loan against it. But when you have a software or IT type companies, pretty much either you get revenues from the paying customers, or you are you have to be looking for funding till you are self sufficient. Okay, so those things have to be looked at, whereas when you go with companies which are in the traditional fields, maybe you can capitalize some of the equipment, etc., and get loans against that. So now looking at our team, again, one of the criteria of our incubator was, okay, how strong is the team? And somehow being IIT is faculty is kind of does the person know market? Does he have industry? Is he industry savvy? All those questions come up, ignoring that because IIT faculty, the tag is larger than the person. So you are not looking at the person behind the tag, that the person has industry experience, person has industry contacts, this, that. Another problem is when 3 or 4 students start, you think the team is 3 or 4. When IIT faculty starts with 2 or 3 students, the team is of 1. You don't count, and that is something that you have to keep in mind, because somebody with 15-20 years experience, then however way you present the team members, unless you get other guys with 15-20 years experience joining you, it always looks very one-sided. Okay, or my wife, for example, has an extensive business background. Won't go into the detail, but again, that's a husband-wife, don't count that. So what happens is, there are flags that come about which are, you have to look beyond, in the sense that, yes, those flags are there. The entrepreneur would have some way of, overcoming that, or giving the explanation how that is, not really a handicap. Another thing is, when you have a high-tech product startup, invariably, when you look at the, technical experts, they are going to give a mixed opinion, because it becomes very difficult to know really, is there a real need in the market for MPLS, which is the convergence of voice video data onto the single network. Is there really a need for something which is optimizing that the performance, etc.? Can a small company like this be able to penetrate one of the most difficult markets, which is markets? The buy cycle is very long. When you are selling, you are not really selling to one or two people, but actually different groups get involved in the decision making, and it's a enterprise level buy cycle, which is a very extensive. And can a small company go through that? See, there your IIT brand helps a lot, because it opens a lot of doors when you are going to say one of the biggest telecom operators. There you use the brand, but nevertheless, when you are doing some due diligence, is there a market? How difficult is the market to penetrate? So when you have a high product of this type, the flags are to be there in the review process, that yes, it is a difficult market, yes, there is a lot of uncertainty, but then you have to look at the person or team who is putting that forward. Are they going to have person to go through to take it to the next level? So somewhere the processes and the results have to show some level of flexibility, and IIT Bombay has been very good at that. They have all the processes, but then they have the way of actually having the discussions on what are the so if you are admitting a company, what could be the challenges and how are the team members looking to overcome those challenges. So coming back to this thing, what Roshan said, it cannot be something very rigid. It has to be somewhat flexible and subjective. And just to show you those tick marks, this is I didn't have enough time to kind of condense it down to small this thing, but what we figured out, that this is a very large market. The convergence technology that we are building is widely adopted, so our solution could fit in to essentially a global market. And when the market is large, if you are even if you can make 2% or 3% of market share, still it has a potential to be a big company. So one of the reasons, one of the important factors that a funding agency be looking for, is the market large enough, okay, for you to enter, and is market already crowded with existing players. So essentially when the business plan is coming, you want to actually evaluate if it's an emerging market and the market is large enough so that the company can even if it makes some mistakes, it has time to grow and potentially lead market. So that is without going into the details, I would like to say that the market is estimated to be something the MPLS or what this convergence technology, the services going over that is worth $200 billion. Enterprise services that are going. So it's a very large market, whether it's voice, whether it's enterprise that are there, all those constitute a very large market, and that is what Vegayan is addressing. And to tell you about our product, it's a in simple terms, Simplus is our product. It simplifies the LS. This is the convergence technology that is there, that is used universally in the core networks, okay, to have voice video data over a single converged network. Okay, so whether it's your wireless services, whether it's your internet that is going there, or whether it's your corporate telephony, it all goes in a single network supported by MPLS technology. And what we bring in is how do you simplify the operation management or bring in efficiency and enhancement in the performance for such a network. And what our product does is it does, first understand the network you are looking to address. So this is in a nutshell what our company does. This is the product that we have. And now where we are at, we have developed the product and we are currently testing it in a large telecom carrier and going through the, the trials and the, procurement negotiations, etc. So, from the startup perspective, having the product ready and there is a customer which is going through trials and then customer signing on the dotted line is the critical phase. That's where the company has reached its first milestone. Many times even I made that mistake that you think the milestone is getting some funding, etc. That is not the milestone. The first milestone is when the your product sells commercially. Again, a product company is different from a services company. Services company, the lead time before you start generating revenues is rather small. You have to demonstrate that you have a knowledge or domain expertise in a given area and then start looking for, bidding for certain contracts, etc. and provide, those services to your customers. So your revenue start kicking in very fast if it's a services model. Another thing is then you are building things which are, tailor-made for that given customer. Whereas a products company, the idea is you are going out on a limb. You have a idea as what is required in a commercial world. Okay, you are going ahead and building it until you build it to a level where you can start demoing at least the rudimentary capabilities of that. You can have a meaningful customer interaction. Although you would like to have customer interaction from day one, it is very difficult to keep interest of the customer if you don't have anything beyond PowerPoints. You can go through 1 or 2 meetings, the customer, potential customer would say, yeah, that sounds interesting, this, that. Come back when you have achieved a certain level of maturity. Okay, so that is where, a services company can show you a contract very easily. A products company has to take time building it to a level where the product is, at least at a demoable level before the customers can start engaging in a meaningful manner. Okay, and that is the time, you have to be looking for, what is the business value that is there. So one of the things is with all these, challenges that are there, whether there is a need for such a product, is there really a market there, and is this company or is this team capable of actually breaking into that, is a big question mark. And those were raised when we tried to enter IIT incubator as well. And one of the good things is, just because I am faculty, I cannot bend rules. The evaluation had those question marks and we had to address. And luckily, so as such we started in November 2005, but we were given what is called pre-incubation, a small room to validate what we are doing till a proper incubation is given, and finally we were given proper incubation in April 2006. And one of the a good successes in that period is we won the India the venture challenge, which was sponsored by Draper Fisher Jurvetson, a reputed VC firm in US and Thai. And this is again, this is not a business plan competition. There were only business startups which were having existing operations which were participating in it. So most of the time, many of the student business plan contests, like Roshan pointed out, not many entries are serious. They are more ideas thrown at and certain due diligence. Whereas this was unique in the sense that they were all existing businesses less than 5-year-old, and there we out of 125 startups with 3 rounds of screening and final about 10 finalists, we finally won the entire event. And that actually got us into the incubator, because this was a true validation of our business value proposition, which was validated by the industry experts, reputed VCs from US who understood the the field, as well as the existing entrepreneurs in India. So that helped us get the incubation. Also winning that, we won the 35 lakhs of seed funding from DFJ and Nadathur. So that got us effectively a partner. So so many tick marks which were at the business level, which were brought out in the pre-incubation state, got automatically kind of answered through that. And that is so what I would like to point out is, yes, the rigor is very high, especially when you have so many companies coming in. You have to keep the the barriers high. Another thing is, just because faculty is coming, you should not be changing the rules of the game. Whether it's student team or faculty involved, it has to be still same. But nevertheless, the company or the team which is persistent in their efforts, they can overcome that. So give way of addressing some of the limitations that may have been brought out. Okay, and this is the way we addressed, and we came out with flying colors, showing that yeah, we deserve to be, and we started our incubation at IIT Bombay. And not just that, later on we also won the Canaan Partners, is another US VC firm. So we won that Thai Canaan Partners Entrepreneurial Challenge as well. Again, there were 100+ startups that were there. 3 rounds of elimination, and jury was industry experts, Thai experts, as well as some VCs from Canaan Partners. And the person you see, Pramod Basin, was again a jury member. He's a CEO of Genpact, a multi-billion-dollar company. So idea is, okay, business value proposition has to be validated at certain level. Okay. Again, we also over time got validation of our product and technology. This is something that we received as a, there was some Innovation Pioneers Challenge which was conducted by Intel and DST, Government of India. And again, we had a Innovative Product and Technology Award there. Just last year, we also received US patent on the technology. So idea is, well, it takes time. It takes long time for company to mature, especially if it is a products company in a high-tech, space. Another thing is, when I was starting off, or in my first 6 months or a year, even my good friends who knew a lot about the fields that I was looking to address, they had a lot of questions. In fact, they were all saying it's not viable. So as an entrepreneur, you realize that if you meet 20 people, guaranteed that 19% would feel that this is not viable. Okay, what you are proposing. You are lucky to get one in those 20 who says, yeah, that's a good plan, and this thing. So although you are going with, in our case, we go with, blind, some validation of the business plan, etc. But it's very difficult to come out with a, evaluation which says, this is the best, and, you have, I mean, raising flags in a business plan is very easy. Addressing it takes lot of effort. So you have to actually side with an entrepreneur who is going to be persistent in his her efforts to address them over time, and that is the way I would think the criteria should be. I mean, although the processes are needed, but the processes have to be very flexible. Another thing is, you have to look at the unique, conditions in India, that it is very difficult to start a company, get funding, because we don't have good angel networks. And coming to angel, after DFJ, which were the seed investors, just last year we received funding from Rakesh Mathur. So the common link with the fellow panelists, and that is again a great achievement, this thing, because that shows that we have been able to convince at least a couple of investors that we have a viable business plan. But finally the validity of the business comes only when our revenues start ramping up. See, at that point nobody can question. The proof is right there. Whatever awards you win, whatever investors you get, the question mark is going to stay with you even if Kleiner Perkins are your investors. The thing is, when you are really starting to make money on the that means you are making profit, or the first step is when you are making revenues, that is the only time you have the first level of business validation. Okay, but that could be very long. Okay. If you have a, say, travel portal or something, you can be in business very quickly, but then the entry barriers are not there. There will be potentially so many other competitors that can come in. Okay, and then the big muscle power who can spend lot more in the brand building would be the winners rather than who has the best website. Okay, so that means startup success, there is really no easy guaranteed formula. If you pick up a business model which is seemingly easy, then the competition can kill you very easily, because then others will also feel that it's easy to enter, and how do you distinguish from somebody else? And if you pick up something which is hard to build and hard to demonstrate to somebody, like I was having hard time, how do I tell what is the product and what benefits does it bring? But finally you are not convincing to general audience. You are, as long as you can convince to your customers. That means in my case, if I can go to telecom operators and tell them what value I bring, that is where I am succeeding as a business person. So you have to start looking at the business plans from that perspective, that every business is not going to be so easy that I have this pink umbrella that I can use as a parachute, that anybody can appreciate. It's not going to be like that. However, you start thinking, make it simple. Yeah, I made it simple, making core networks efficient and effective. Yes, it's a very simple thing, anybody can appreciate that, but how do I do that? That's where you have to go into lot more details. So some plans require lot more details, others may not. I can always bring a business plan that I'll make a matrimony portal or a travel portal, this, that, but then the execution is difficult. It's none of the businesses are easy. If it was easy, then why is nobody trying that and already have made money? So that is the kind of message that I thought I'll convey.